I was a young boy, and I let her kick me in my developing balls, and I think to this day, I do not know if I can have children, but it was all for love.
I'm Claire Parker.
And I'm Ashley Hamilton, and this is Memoir Practice.
We are the foremost experts on celebrity memoirs in the world, so we've decided to use all of our expertise
To create a world with no bad memoirs.
We have invited our friend Joey Dardano onto the show so that we can tell him what about his potential memoir is good and what needs to be cut. Thank you for being here, Joey Dardano.
Hello.
Are you nervous?
I mean, a little bit. Have memories from childhood and then be like, oh, these are gonna be interesting, and imagine if I say them and you guys like, those fucking suck, those are so boring.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
We're prepared to say that. So, is there a story from your childhood that you feel gets to the core of who Joey is?
I hate that this is the first thing that came across in my head.
No, I like it.
I feel like if you really want to bottle Joey down into a person, there is a lot of anxiety and panic. And one time we were playing outside and I was walking home. This is a 45-second to 1 minute walk. When I was like in my driveway, I was like, oh my God, I have to poop so fucking bad. And instead of going into my house, for some reason I turned around and shit on the wall of the house across the street.
And that is who you are.
Yeah. All logic and reasoning disappeared. It was quicker to go inside.
Okay.
What would you want the readers to get from this?
I am the victim.
Have you ever thought back and said, why did I do that?
I think I was like, I'm gonna shit across the street, and everyone was just like, oh, fucking do that. Like, no one was like, go inside. Everyone was like, if you gotta go, you gotta go.
So it was for the people. From an early age, you were doing humiliating things.
To perform.
And to this day is a problem of mine, not knowing when a joke's over. If I get too ramped up, if that ADHD kicks in, and also the slowness, if that all kicks in at the same time, I keep going until that joke is buried into the ground.
What about dating in school? Like, did you feel popular?
There was one girl in middle school, and after lunch, I would walk her to class. I imagine that was romantic. If
I think it's romantic.
Like to, yeah, but also like it wasn't like just me and her a lot of the time. It was like her whole friend group would be there, and like
So you just joined the walk.
yeah. Now that I look back on it, it's like truly there's just like Joey's fucking walking like right next to us as we're all having a conversation. I'm like thinking I'm like really doing a thing.
Yeah,
and
it went from
Okay.
gentlemanly to like stalker.
I thought you would like meet her at her table and carry her books.
I just pick up her backpack and her books. Where's your class?
You're just like a bird at like a food court. And you're like, just put your hand over your fries. He's back.
You're done eating. That is embarrassing. After a period of time, her friends at one point were like, it's obvious he like likes you. And for some reason, it devolved into like, can I kick you in the nuts? And me being like, I got no fucking problem with that.
What do you think it signified to say, of course?
Oh, then I'm a cuck loser.
But in your mind at the time, you were like, I like this girl. She's asked to kick me in the nuts. And if I say yes, it'll prove.
It'll prove that like I would endure pain for her. If she just simply asked me to do a thing, I'd be like, yes, queen.
That's actually
Slay.
really beautiful.
Right? I was a young boy, and I let her kick me in my developing balls, and I think to this day, I do not know if I can have children, but it was all for love.
This gets to the core of who Joey is. Someone who goes all the way for love, for the bit.
Yes.
Let's get into high school.
So these were like my friends who like played sports and like weren't artsy. We were dumb, and I liked that.
Take us on this journey.
We would go around, and if someone moved out, like if we knew the house was empty, that would become like our clubhouse. We would like find whichever door or window was left unlocked and just be like, how cool is it we have a whole fucking house? Yeah.
Not that cool.
It's so fucking cool that we did that. This is so cool. We had a different clubhouse all the time. What was your clubhouse growing up? One house, this is one of like the big houses. We simply walked through the front door. No alarm went off, so we're like, definitely this is an open house.
But was there furniture in the home?
This one had everything, including food in the fridge. We were eating their food and they had wine and we were like, fucking jackpot, this is crazy. We were breaking shit in this house. And we left, and then later on that night, there was like 10 cop cars outside of the house.
And these people believing they'd been robbed.
Yeah, we truly destroyed this house, and not once did anybody question, does someone live here? everyone was like, these people must have up and ran. We don't need any of this. All we need is our family.
Why would that go in your memoir?
Oh, that I think I'm a full-on dumbass.
I think you think you're kind of cool.
That was kind of cool, huh?
No, it wasn't cool. You've been on TV, and this is your pride.
That actually might be the opening of the book. So how did we get here?
Now that I'm on TV, now that I'm a star, now that you're buying my memoir, how has my life only gone downhill from here? Okay. Is there any other moments that like really formed your like high school experience?
Well, I was a theater kid. If that's not noticeable. And there was like one semester like I wasn't in the show. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And there was the West Palm Improv across the street from my high school. And even though I was 15, there was a guy I met, he was a stand-up, and he was like, oh, you wanna do this? You know what, I teach the class at the Improv, why don't you come slide by? And I took this class, developed a 5-minute bit, and on the 8th class, there was a show that night. I've never practiced in front of anyone. I've only ever heard what stand-up is and been like, cool. I showed up, did 5 minutes, and afterwards the guy was like, you should not do stand-up tonight. That was really bad.
And did you do it?
I was like, I'm absolutely gonna do it tonight. I have family coming, and I would hate to turn them down. And I went across the street to the Panera Bread, and I wrote a whole new 5-minute set.
And is it good?
Wow.
No.
But if we're taking you back to the moment.
I felt like a fucking king at the end of the night. If I can write 5 tight minutes in 3 hours, give me fucking 27 hours, and you're fucked.
Put me on the road,
Watch out,
baby.
Hollywood.
And how did it go? So you moved to New York City at some point.
I did go to college here. And boy, did I start bombing. I would do open mics after class. And I remember hearing that David Cross was doing like 20 shows. And I bought tickets to 3 different shows. I wanted to see like how his set evolves. I'm like, I feel like there's something to learn there. At the second show, David Cross was at the bar. I went up to him, and you could tell immediately his energy was kind of like, oh, fuck. But I was like, first of all, big fan, starting to do comedy a whole bunch. I made it so that I sat down with him and another comic, Seth Herzog. And it's just so obvious that they're like old friends catching up, because one of the first things Seth said was like, it's good to hang out with you after not seeing you for so long. And I am just—
That's very intuitive that you picked up on them being old friends from that statement.
I'm like, wow, I wonder what the fuck he means by that. And I'm just wide-eyed, waiting for
But not saying anything, because that seems unlike
my
you.
first real comedy hang.
Yeah. And I was like, can't wait for my turn to riff. Can't wait for my turn to fucking dig my claws into this riff and, ooh, I'm gonna goof off so hard. When I get a chance to goof, I'm gonna get a record deal. A record deal! They're gonna sign me. But it was like 45 minutes. I got not a word in. I got not a single word in.
You were not allowed there.
And I think at one point I was thrown like a pity convo point.
Yeah.
And boy, did I eat it up for maybe like 15 minutes about like, I don't get to go up as much as I want. When I do go up, you know, it's like 5, 6 something minutes. And David is like, oh, do you want to do 5 on the next one? And my immediate thought is, well, I have fucking tickets to the next one, so I'm gonna want a fucking refund for those fucking tickets. I'm not gonna pay money to see myself. Anyways. It was my first Union Hall.
Yeah,
Big
huge.
Huge deal.
And as a young Cuban-Italian boy, what that means is I did wear a full suit. Blue suit, purple sweater,
Gold chains.
gold chains out, only the cross, not the other one. My mom said those are for me and not other people. But for some reason, I can show everyone Christ.
That's because he's for the world.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
And how'd it go, Joe?
Boy, did I show up early. I was there like 2 hours early. I immediately went to the green room. The producer comes, and I'm like, here's my chance. Very first thing is, who are you? What are you doing back here? And I'm like, oh, I'm Joey. And she goes, oh, yeah, no, that is weird that you're on the show, because I didn't book you, but David just texted me your name. And I remember asking, oh, by the way, after my set, would you mind giving me notes? Because that's big in the theater world. In theater, people love to give notes, and they love to receive them. It makes everyone feel like they're part of it. In comedy, if you give me a note, I'll strangle your fucking neck if it's unprompted.
Now you will.
Now.
Back then, you were begging for notes.
Back then, I was like, tell me everything I'm doing wrong, because I know it's everything.
Or did you think you were going to wow her and her notes would be no notes?
I thought that was I thought she was going to be like, my note is, where the fuck have you been? No, her vibe was, cannot believe he just asked me that. She said, oh, I don't do that. And then closed the curtain and ran the show. David shows up like right as the show starts. And backstage he's like, do you have any credits? And I'm like, no, you could just say whatever you want. And he's like, all right, man. And so when he intros me, he's like, your next comic. Well, if you don't like him, don't laugh. So put your hands together for Joey Dardano.
That is kind of mean.
Yeah, but also as a comedian, I'm like, that's hilarious.
You're like, I've been roasted by the best, and now I can catch up with him and Seth Herzog.
I go up on stage, and I cannot stress enough that I'm eating a dick.
Nothing you've said so far makes me think you wouldn't have been.
We believe you that this was gonna go
But
bad.
if this was a Hollywood movie, I would have done everything wrong off stage, and then I would have killed it on stage, and everyone been like, you know what? He's weird, but he's all right. But no, it was all just he's weird and he sucks and he's bad. And I got off stage, I am sweating my dick and balls off. And I asked the producer again about the notes. Can you at least tell me what you thought in the moment? And she was like, I'm actually very uncomfortable with doing that. Definitely not again do you ask me that question. And when the show ended, everyone was like handshaking to say bye, and I started hugging. I hugged everyone goodbye.
With your sweaty body.
I was so sweaty. And everyone was kind of like, what the fuck is this kid doing? To the point where David out loud was like, oh, that's what we're doing for the hugs. And then I still had a drink ticket, so I stood there and I somehow corralled David to stand and have a wine with me before he left.
A wine?
Wow.
I genuinely,
You got a
I was wearing a
wine.
suit, so I was like, you don't drink a beer in that. You drink a wine. In hindsight, I'm like, this is the kindest thing any like established comic could do.
The nicest anyone's ever been to another person in our industry.
Yeah.
Before we get out of this first memoir lesson, what do you think you would call this book?
Joey Dardano. Can I have some notes?
Yes.
Joey Dardano, feedback required, please, right now. Also, that house stuff was pretty cool, huh? And
You
it
need an
takes up-
editor.
Joey, I think this was very productive.
Was I good?
Don't give him feedback. No notes.
Feedback necessary.
Joey Dardano, our good friend, comedian. You'll see him on Wild and Out. And, you know, some underground free comedy show, probably.
Maybe above ground sometime, too.